Hey, you need to have a plan for your life, or otherwise you're not going to be successful. Hello guys, and welcome back to another video. Today's my birthday. I was just scrolling Instagram and seeing pictures of people who I went to high school, primary school with, people that are like my age that are doing amazing things. Like, how do you be happy for people and not feel jealous? You know what I mean? Last year I made a video, 24 things I've learned in 24 years. Now I'm 25, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to sit down, take a breather and chat to you guys about, well, basically the midlife crisis, the quarter life crisis, and why you may feel like you're not measuring up, you're not achieving enough in your life. I know that I certainly feel that way. And looking back over the last 12 months, maybe 18 months, I mean, I got married, I've moved house, been able to get married during COVID, maintained friendships, made new friends, had a video that got like over 500,000 views. Like, not that I really can control that, or that's sort of my fault, but like, that's pretty cool. Like, Josh and I wrote a bunch of songs, and yeah, I've achieved a lot at work, and so it's not like I'm not achieving anything, but for some reason I'm just sitting here and thinking, oh, I wish I'd done more, I wish I'd pursued that passion, or I'd been more consistent with this, or like, you know, run that half marathon, or painted more pictures, or this or that. There's like a million things I feel like I should or could have done. Like, I just feel like my life is so out of balance all the time, and then I'm just constantly treading water, trying not to drown. And the thing is, like, I watch all the productivity people, and I plan my day, and I'm really conscious about time management. Like, I'm not saying all of this to be like, oh, you know, you should be more productive. What I'm saying is, like, I am productive. I feel like I've reached the pinnacle of productivity in some ways, and yet I'm still not doing enough. I feel like I'll never do enough. And I think that's partly a perspective thing. That's partly a mindset thing. You know, I'm looking at the glass half empty rather than half full. And I'm aware of that, and I'm working on that, and that's something that, you know, takes a little while to sort of rewire your brain into. But I think part of that feeling comes from the fact that I don't really have a plan. I was listening to a video the other day of like this guy who's a very prolific author in the States, and he talks about the two different ways that typically authors will write novels. The first is obviously like, you know, you write down your novel structure, you really flesh out your characters in very intricate detail, you have chapter summaries, you have a great framework and structure with which to use to, I'm very wordy today, to use in order to write your book. And there's other authors that sort of start and they have an idea and then they just flow with wherever the story goes. And I would say that in my life, although I want to be organized, I'm much more of a spontaneous creative thinker. I struggle to come up with a full story or a full script or a full plan of anything. Like, I usually, because I'm a writer as a profession, I usually just start with an opening paragraph and then like see where it takes me. We don't glorify it, we don't appreciate it in society. It's not something that we like to see. Same as introversion. Like, I'm an introvert. Society is based on extroverts, so, you know, it's tricky. YouTubers, self-help experts, books, all kinds of sources of information will tell you, hey, you need to have a plan for your life, or otherwise you're not going to be successful. And like, you sit there and you're like, oh my goodness, okay, let me brainstorm, let me find my ikigai, let me find my like purpose in life, let me like brainstorm my new personal brand and like promote that and blah 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 blah. And I know that a lot of you struggle with that too. I know a lot of people in general throughout their whole lives will struggle through that, because, you know, if you're 25 and you haven't found your niche yet, then you're already 5 years behind everyone else. And if you're 40 and you decide to change jobs, then you're like 20 years behind everyone else. But long story short, when you don't have a niche, you can't make really concrete goals in that niche. And so you're not constantly ticking things off a to-do list, and you're not constantly like, you know, leveling up, making achievements and whatever. But I'm also terrified that if I just pick a niche, that I'll be betraying parts of myself. Because I feel like if I just do art, then I'm betraying my love for writing. And if I just write stuff, then I'm betraying my desire to have like, a balanced, healthy, no tox lifestyle. And if I only talk about that, then I'm betraying my love for music and writing music. And if I only write music, then I'm betraying my love for Jesus. And if I only talk about Jesus, then I'm not relatable, or whatever. This is a little book where I keep all of my like dreams and goals, and like I try and like, crack down on my personal branding, and I'm like, what is my niche? Like, what can I do on this like side hustle that I have? There's just so many things that I'm interested in. Everything from like self-help and psychology and self-awareness to like graphic design, that I constantly find myself like sitting with a blank piece of paper and trying to plan out my content schedule, like find like a common thread that runs through all of these things. But time and time again, I keep coming up against a wall, and all I can think is like, well, I guess I am the niche. I am the thing that ties all of these things together. And that's great. And like Gary Vee, very famous, very successful, he talks about this, and he's like, oh, you are your niche. Don't worry about niching down into something, because it's just you. And like, he's into all kinds of things, and he says that he's been successful, but at the same time, is that really replicable? Is that really something that's realistic? Because Gary Vee is Gary Vee. I'm not Gary Vee. I'm just Maryellen. By trying to make myself my own niche, sure, I may not be betraying any aspect of myself, but I'm like elevating my ego to this crazy level where I'm like assuming that people are going to be interested. I think my ego, what I'm trying to say is that my ego and like this inflated sense of self has turned me into some perfectionist with like the highest standards ever. And so because I have these really, really high standards, I'm obsessed with like planning, and I'm obsessed with like, creating the perfect brand before I launch it. But that's not reality. I always blame time management. But in actual fact, I think it's because I'm a perfectionist. It's because I'm the kind of person who won't start a painting until they know exactly what they want to paint, or wouldn't start like a personal brand until they have like a really clear color scheme and identity and logo and like ethos and whatever. But that's so overrated, and it's so stressful, because like you're never going to be happy with you're never going to be able to picture the end result perfectly. And so often that stops perfectionists from even starting in the first place. And I think anyone that tells you that you need to like niche down immediately and like find your personal flavor and voice and brand and before you start a business, it's like, what?
And so the lesson that I've learned, I guess, with everything that's happened in the last year is that ultimately having a plan is overrated. And it's far more important and far more soul fulfilling to roll with the punches, to rest on your laurels a little bit, to sort of, be more spontaneous and not, I guess, not try to just hustle all the time. We spend far too much time thinking about things. The much better approach is to, rather than like appear to be an expert because you have a plan and like you've come from A to Z and whatever, you've like fleshed it all out, is just to like start at A, go to B, and document your process, document all the highs and the lows. That's sort of the approach I want to take going into my next year of life, to embrace the learning, to just do stuff rather than think about it all the time.
Do what you feel you need to do, and do what you feel will help people, regardless of whether that fits in with some like life ideology or philosophy or niche. Like you need to know who you are and what you actually like. You need to dabble. You need to just make stuff. Use the talents God's given you in every way possible. Be a good steward, like be a good person in everything you're doing. And I think for me, like just keeping this whole ego thing in mind, it's made me realize that I need to just document my process. I just need to do what I want. I just need to enjoy my life. My goodness, I just need to enjoy my life. You need to enjoy your life too, okay? If this resonates with you at all, please, if there's only one thing you take home, just take a step back and realize that your life is short, and that having the perfect personal brand or achieving all of your 5, 10, 50 goals by age 25 does not matter. Like, you're not going to lie on your deathbed and be like, oh, I'm so sad I didn't achieve that goal by 25, that I didn't have 50,000. Like, no, you're going to regret not enjoying your youth.
This video is just an encouragement to just start. Who cares if you don't know what the outcome is? Just do stuff, just make stuff. It's a social construct that I think people have created, that you need to have a plan, that you need to know where you're going, and you need to have a future, and you need to have a career path and all that stuff. And like, that's great if you have one, but if you don't let it make you feel like you have nothing to offer the world, and don't let it make you feel like a failure. It's just not worth it. Life is far too short for that. And to be honest, even if you're ticking off those parts of a plan, the likelihood is it's not going to go the way you want it to, because life is spontaneous. That's how it works. Bad things happen, good things happen, surprises happen. So learning to roll with the punches and embrace every moment is a much better way to go, in my opinion, because there's just so many factors that you cannot control. There's so many things that could go wrong. God could lead you in a totally different direction, and I much prefer to sort of lean on his leading rather than try and fight against what he wants because I have a plan. Like, I really wrestle in that space. And if you want me to make another video about like my philosophy on planning and future setting and goal setting and like how I incorporate God into that, I'd love to. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in it. Let me know what you think. Are you more of a planner, or are you more of a, what would I say, spontaneous type, creative type? Do you struggle to know the end before you begin? Yeah, I'd be interested to know what personalities are watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what you struggle with most in this whole area, and if it's something you relate to. And also, if you like these kind of sit down just chat videos, maybe you don't, maybe you want some more hair tutorials. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comments. And yeah, thank you for listening. And yeah, that's kind of all I had to say. I'm sure I had a lot more to say, but I don't really run from a script, so hence why my videos are usually like bunches of different videos of me in different places and stuff. That tends to be how I film them, rather than like sitting down and like having a dedicated space to do so. I'll see you in the next video if I post this. Bye. Okay, bye.